guys, welcome to my first YouTube video. Today we're going to be breaking down how I designed this poster using Photoshop. A lot of you have asked me on Instagram how I do it, how I go from photos to posters, and so I thought I'd make a YouTube video and break it down for you guys. First we open Photoshop, obviously, and then we go to File, New, and then I like to run in inches, and I do 18 by 24 posters. The reason that there's 0.25 is because bleed. That way when you send it to a print shop, or if I print it myself, I know that I can cut that aspect of the poster and it won't damage the design itself. And then resolution, I do 300 because you want the best resolution when you print, and you want to switch the color mode to CMYK. And then the background contents, this basically changes the background color. I normally just run white or black. It honestly depends what you prefer. It doesn't really matter. You can always change that afterwards once you're in the design. So let's begin. Once you've made your document, the best thing to do right away is set up guides. This is how I run my guides for the posters I do. Obviously, you can add a lot more guides, but since I only do title and a bit of text, I just don't see it necessary to add more guidelines. If you don't see these rulers, you just come to View, Ruler, and basically how you add it is, let's say you want to add one here, you just drag it from the top down. Same with the side. How I do mine, I have the bleed right here, and then this part from here to here, it's basically an imaginary frame, so that I know that if someone was to frame this poster, majority of the content wouldn't go on this outside part. It's about 1.5 inch, which is 450 pixels. So basically I design in this inner part here. This doesn't mean that the design itself can't go out, but majority of the text will be in this yellow box that you see right now. Alright, now that the guides are out of the way, let's import the pictures in. So basically I go to File and Place Embedded, and then I find the pictures that I have downloaded and I import them in. So this is the first image that I used that you guys saw on the poster in the beginning. Then I also add other pictures if I need. In this case I added this because I knew I was going to use it. We can grab the pen tool. You can either click the P on your keyboard, or you can just come to the side on the toolbar right here and pen tool. I zoom in with Control plus, and then I personally know that I'm going to cut this part off, this entire part of the picture. And so I just basically trace out the car, and I just try to get perfect fit on the car. And then if you're new to Photoshop, you'll notice that if you do a curve, your next point will also curve. The way to get rid of that is by clicking Alt on your keyboard, and it will disappear. That way you can go any direction and it'll be straight. Now I'm just gonna do a quick time lapse of me making a line on the car, and then we'll be back. So now that we traced out the car, all you want to do is remove the top part. And to do that, you have to connect the first dot to the last dot. Once you do that, you just go to the selection, and you can set the feather radius to 0, 1, or 2. I like to go with 2 because this basically makes your selection a bit better. So you click OK, and then you select the layer that you actually want to remove. In this case, it's the car layer. And then you click on this mask icon right here. This will select the vehicle, but all you have to do is Control I, and it will invert whatever you had selected. If you made a mistake or it's not perfect, you can just go to the layer mask layer, and you see how what we have selected is white and what we removed is black. So let's say we switch back to white. You get your brush and switch to brush like this. You can just paint back and it will literally come right back. Same way as if you use black, it will remove it. Once you've removed your background, you can just zoom out just to get a general idea of what you can begin doing. Right now I noticed that the background is very empty and I need to add something there. And I noticed the bottom of the car, it could be a bit darker just to make the car stand out a bit more. Even though right now it's standing out a tremendous amount because of the color, but I would like to make it even darker. So basically what I do is I just make a new layer. I grab the brush and I get this soft round. Then I switch it to black and increase the size to whatever fits for you. And I just brush it. And then I just lower the opacity to where it fits, and I like how it looks right there. Once I finish with that, I just add some text. So I know that at the bottom of my posters, I like to put designed by and then my social media tag. And I normally put this at like 20 size, because this, you don't want it to be too big. It's a big distraction. And I use Rhino for the bottom. And now this is where your guidelines come in handy. Basically, can see where I should leave it, right? So I want to bring it all the way down here, and it looks good there. Once you've added that, the next thing to do is the background. On this design, I have one of these. Basically, I duplicate it with Control J, hide the other one, and I set this one behind the car. That way I see it like this. And I Control T, and now I can transform it. And I basically set it wherever I want to set it. Looks good. I like it there. And then I just go to the blend modes right here. Normally what I do when I'm designing is I just go through each and I try to see one that I really like. But in this case, I went with luminosity because I wanted no color on it. You can also do a grayscale. And then I knew that I was going to use a colorful one just to make the background stand out a bit. And so what I did, there is multiple ways to do this, but what I do is I just make the shape that I want. And then I click on this image that I want to put on it, bring it above, right click it, and then create clipping mask. This will automatically make the image from above go directly into the shape that you designed. And then if you want a white border, all you have to do is just add a stroke and then increase, and you can see that we're getting a border. You do need to have fill, because if you don't have fill, then the image won't take the shape. So if we remove the fill right now, as you can see, it takes the border instead. And to make it less crowded, I just make a group. So I select both and then come to this folder right here. And then that way I know I can just easily move it, and we bring it behind the car. We show our guides. If you don't know how to do this, you just do Control and H. Basically, it'll show all your guides, and then we can center wherever we want it. Once you finish that, the next step is adding more text. On my poster, I went with McLaren on the bottom, and I went with a font called Ethnocentric, and then I also went with regular. You can set the size whatever fits your style. So I'm going to go with 120 at first. You can see that it's too big. So let's try 90. And I like the style of that. Pretty good. Then you can change your color as you want. For this design, I want white. That. And then we're going to try to find a nice place that fits. And it looks pretty good. And then the following here, I did feel the power. Feel the power, I want a lot less than 90, so I'm going to try 65 and see how that looks. Obviously it's still too big, so we're going to go with 40. And I thought it would be cool if this would be a different color. On my poster you can see that I used sort of a yellow, which I actually used color from the car here. You just basically click on the color thing here, and then it's going to have an eyedropper, and you can just select anything. So like, let's say I wanted a black, I just select the blacks and it would get a color from the image. This basically makes a contrast really nice, and it makes the poster just flow. But I do like the orangey from here, the orangey vibe that it gives. We're gonna go with that. I can see that this text is very close to this one, and so basically what we want to do is highlight feel the power, and you want to come to this text part over here, and you can see the size is 30 and the space would be this, that's auto. A rule of third, at least that I've learned, is you should always have 2 points above, but you can also go a bit higher, and in this case I'm going to go with 35. And you can see that that didn't do much, at least to what I want, and so we're going to try 45, and that gives a nice little gap where you can read it a bit better. And if you want to go even further, you can. Obviously, the higher the number, the further it's going to go from the original title. And then you can bring it down and find where you want it. Make sure that it's centered. We're really almost done the poster, but if you look at it right now, it looks nice, and some people may even say that this is done. But I I don't. I find a lot of things are still missing, and in fact, I'm not liking the top part too much. So I'm gonna increase the size a bit and try to find something that fits best for me. And I think here would look really nice. I also want to remove some of this black part here and some of this so it doesn't touch the ground. And how you do that is you just go to the layer and you add a mask. And then you go to your brushes and you select the brush that you want to use. I would recommend soft round because it blends it much more. I'll show you guys what I mean. If you do this, you can see that it blends nicely there. Whereas if you use another brush, such as hard round, it just basically strips it right away. After that, I noticed that the background was a bit too eye-catchy. And so what I did is I just lowered the opacity a bit so that it was a bit white. And I actually have a poster like this where you can get the white version. But if you wanted to do the dark version, all I did was I added a gradient map. And in the gradient map, you can basically make your own, or I have this one set already. And you add it there. And then as you can see, it's a bit dark and we want to reduce it a bit. So we're going to reduce it to where I like. And I think that looks perfect. And then if you want to adjust what you're hiding, you can do that. Perfect. I like that. And that's it. That's how you turn an image to a poster. I hope you guys enjoyed and you learned a lot. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave it down below.